So excited that we are starting our new lesson today. And this one is on symmetry. So, symmetry is a really exciting concept. It means that if we look at a shape like this beautiful equilateral triangle, if I come here and I make a line right down the middle, that means that this shape, this part of the shape, if I turn it over, it will match perfectly over here. I could fold these two pieces together and I could have this shape right here. I'm going to show you. So, here we go. So if I took this side and folded it over, I would get this. That means that that is one line of symmetry. Now we're going to see if there's another line of symmetry in this wonderful equilateral triangle. So we're going to take a look over here. Okay, so I'm going to start over here. I'm going to try to cut it in half the best I can. Okay, now it's the same thing. If I take this half and fold it over, we're going to see that it's going to be the very same on the other side. It's called a mirror image. And right here, look at that. If I put, it's jumping all around, this side right here, if I folded it over, it would look like a half a piece. And it would be perfectly matched on the other side. So here, I know that there are three lines of symmetry. And that is on the equilateral triangle. Okay, now we're going to look at this second triangle over here. This triangle is, you remember, two sides are the same length. That is an isosceles triangle. Oh, and I'll put triangle right over here. Isosceles triangle. Now, we're going to try the very same thing. So if I take a line and I put it right down the middle perfectly, look at that. Beautiful. That side can fold beautifully over and I would have a wonderful half of a triangle. So that is perfect. Now I wonder what would happen if I try to do the same thing. Oh no, it's not working because clearly this side is a lot bigger than this side. So that's not going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that because that is not going to work. So what about this side? What if I start from this side and I come over here? Would that work? No, this side is longer. So we know that an isosceles triangle only has one line of symmetry. So I'm going to write that down. Okay. Now let's take a look at this, boys and girls. What kind of triangle is this again? I know you know this is a scalene triangle. I have loved looking at your work the last 2 weeks and seeing the way that you've identified the triangles, seeing the way that you've classified the triangles. I'm very proud of you. So now we're going to see how many lines of symmetry. So let's try this. I don't know. Look at that. That side is longer than this side. So we know that if we folded that over, it's definitely not going to work. Okay, what about if we folded it like this? No, that's going to come over here. Nope, that doesn't work either. So now we know that for a scalene triangle, there are 0 lines of symmetry. Okay, our square. And here we go. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put a diagonal line of symmetry here. This is a diagonal line. And I can see that if I take this and I take this side and I fold it over, I'm going to have a beautiful triangle on this side. Okay. And if I come over here and put a diagonal line here, same thing. I can take this side and fold it beautifully over this side. Now I can make a line here. This side will fold over perfectly and cover this side. Those two sides will fold perfectly and match each other perfectly. And the same thing over here. This side will match this side perfectly. So I know, looking at that a square has 4 lines of symmetry. It has a horizontal line of symmetry. It has a vertical line of symmetry. And it has 2 diagonal lines of symmetry. So I'm actually going to come over here and I'm going to write that. A square. A square has 1 vertical line of symmetry. It has 1 horizontal line of symmetry. It has, I'm going to start over here, 2 diagonal lines of symmetry. There you go. So now I know all the lines of symmetry. Now I'm going to come over here. Let's check out the rectangle. How many lines of symmetry there? Now if I go ahead and do this. You may want to try this at home. Try it at home and see what happens. If I fold this piece over, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be over here. This point is going to end up somewhere down there. Try it at home. So now we know that that does not equally match. But we can see that if I put a line here, look at that. It's perfect. There's 2 perfect halves. I can fold it over and it will match perfectly. And I can also put another line. So I know that there are 2 lines of symmetry for a rectangle. There's 1 horizontal line of symmetry and there is 1 vertical line of symmetry. Perfect. Hi boys and girls. I am so excited about our lesson today. First of all, I would like to say that I loved looking at your work that you handed in last week. I love the artwork. I love the angles. The geometric work that you handed in was absolutely beautiful. The geometric artwork, wonderful, outstanding. So today we're going to start our lesson on symmetry. So in front of me I have a square and I have a rectangle. So a line of symmetry, boys and girls, is when you can, and I'm going to draw a line of symmetry, is when I can draw a line, and I'm going to draw it right along this pencil line here. I'm going to draw it nice and dark. There we go. It means that I can fold, and I'm going to do it this way so we can see, right along that line, and it matches. Oops, it's off just a little bit. There we go. There. And it matches perfectly. Look at that. That could be a card that I send to somebody. So I have two sides that match perfectly. This is a line of symmetry. If I went like this and I had just this half and put a mirror beside it, I would have another half exactly like it. That's why it's sometimes called a mirrored image, but we're going to call it a line of symmetry. And this is a vertical line of symmetry like we learned. Now I'm going to take a look and see if we can draw another line of symmetry. And I'm going to use my trusty protractor here because it's a little bit longer. And I'm going to draw a line of symmetry. Okay, and this is a horizontal line of symmetry like we learned. Now, if I fold this paper along this horizontal line of symmetry, same thing. They match up perfectly. So a rectangle has two lines of symmetry. Now let's see what happens if I draw a line and if I draw it from corner to corner. So I'm just going to come over here and we're going to see if this is a line of symmetry. Okay, there we go. So what happens if I try, did that match evenly? No. So that is not a line of symmetry. A rectangle has two lines of symmetry, and I'm going to write it and then turn it around. Two lines of symmetry. Okay, now we're going to take a look at our square. And I've already put some lines there. So we're going to start with our diagonal line. A diagonal line, boys and girls, goes from corner to corner. So here we go with one diagonal line, a second diagonal line, a vertical line, and a horizontal line. Now, let's see if all of these lines are lines of symmetry. Let's start with this vertical line. Now, if I take this and I carefully fold it right along that line, it is a line of symmetry. That would be a beautiful card if it didn't have all those lines on it. I'm going to do the same thing over here. That's a second line of symmetry. This horizontal line works. The vertical line works. Let's try the diagonal line. Okay, now if I try, it's a little tricky, but let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. I can see that that diagonal line works perfectly. It matches up. Lovely. Now, the same thing on the other side. Let's see. What's going to happen? Here we go. Yes. So I'm going to write down all my lines. I have one line here of symmetry, and it is a vertical line of symmetry. So one vertical line of symmetry. I have a horizontal line of symmetry. Perfect. And now let me take a look here, there, so you can see it. I have a diagonal line of symmetry, and I have another diagonal line of symmetry. So, how many lines is that? One diagonal line. Okay, a horizontal line, that's 2 lines. I have another diagonal line, that's 3 lines. And I have a vertical line of symmetry. That means that a square has, and I'm going to write it and then turn it around, 4 lines of symmetry. Okay, we're going to start with our rhombus. And we know this is a rhombus. So we're going to name it up here. And we're going to see how many lines of symmetry. So I'm going to start by trying a diagonal line. Let's see. Look at that. That side, if we fold it over, folds perfectly into that side. So we can see that there's definitely one side, one line of symmetry. If I do this, look at that. There's another perfect fold. Now let's see what happens if I try to, oh, that definitely does not work. Look at that. It's definitely going to be crooked. So we know that a rhombus only has 2 lines of symmetry. It has 2, to be specific, 2 diagonal lines of symmetry. Okay, now let's take a look at our parallelogram. Okay, now we know it's a parallelogram because these 2 sides are parallel, and these 2 sides, as we already learned before in a previous lesson, they're also parallel. They're going in the same direction, and they will never meet. Now let's see what happens if I draw a line here. Oh dear. This would be maybe a shape that you could draw at home to see what happens. If I took that fold and I tried to fold it over here, this point is going to end up somewhere here. And that's definitely not going to match. What about the other side? Same thing. What about here? If I took this side and tried to fold it over, this point is going to come out somewhere here. So we know now we're going to take all those lines out because A parallelogram has 0 lines of symmetry. Now we're going to come to our last one. Look at our quadrilateral. And we're going to see what happens if I come on over here and I make a line. Uh-oh, that is definitely not going to match. What about here? Nope. What about here? What about here? What about here? What about here? No. So there are 0 lines of symmetry. Okay, so now boys and girls, we're going to come on over here and to our hexagon. And we're going to see, and I'm going to try to draw a straight line. Okay, now that side is definitely the same as that side over there. So if we went ahead and folded this, we can see that it would be perfectly matched. So that is definitely a line of symmetry. So now we're going to see if there's any more lines. Well, we're going to cut it in half. That is definitely a vertical line of symmetry, because if I take that side and fold it over, it's going to be perfectly matched. And I'm going to do the same over here. And we can see again, perfect line of symmetry. And I'm going to do it over here. Oh, beautiful. Again, that works beautifully. And we're going to come on over here. Another perfect line. We can see 2 perfect halves. And lastly, I wish that these lines were straight in this program. You'll use a ruler. This line, this half, will fit perfectly into this half, especially if I had a ruler. So let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 lines of symmetry. So now we know that a hexagon has 6 lines of symmetry. So 6 lines. Sorry, this is not quite as nice as the other program. 6 lines of symmetry.